Welcome to See You at the Table, where stories meet grace. Here we gather, not just to speak, but to listen. If you want to witness how God brings people together from all around the world through powerful testimonies, tune in and see you at the table. Here's today's host. All right, welcome back to the podcast, guys. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Liberty White.
Hi.
Hi, Liberty. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got to CU?
Yeah, of course. So basically since my freshman year of high school, Campbellsville has always been on my radar because I'm from Bowling Green, and so I grew up being taught and doing school with Jamie and Mildred Ward, and obviously he's an alumni and his two daughters went here, so he kind of always was talking to me. He was like, you know what, you should really check out Campbellsville. I was 15. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll probably tour, but you never. I always thought I was going to I basically just thought I was going to Western and going to stay home because that's what all my friends are doing.
That's what everybody in Bowling Green does.
What everyone in Bowling Green does, and it's what all my friends were doing, so that's what I just assumed I'd do. Or I thought I'd be crazy and go somewhere out of state, but that didn't happen, obviously. So I ended up doing a tour, and I just loved it. It felt so much like home. I just knew it was where God was calling me, and my parents loved it, and I loved it, and yeah, I just applied. I really only applied to CU and Western. I didn't even pay the fee for Western, so I didn't even really get officially accepted. But yeah, after the tour, I was just like, I'm going to Campbellsville.
Cool. I kind of share that same thing. I only toured two schools, this school and Moorhead, and I remember thinking, and no offense to anybody that goes to Moorhead, but I remember thinking Moorhead felt like an alien planet to me. It felt like I was in a video game. It did not feel real. When I was here, I was like, this is home. This is my house. This is where I'm going to live. It just felt like where I was supposed to be. And I think a lot of people share that same sentiment. But basically, what's a little bit of your faith story? What's your, summary of your testimony kind of look like?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty, basic, and that doesn't mean it's not powerful, but it is just kind of basic. I grew up in a Christian home. I got saved when I was 7 and baptized a few weeks later. And yeah, I was just in my bed at nap time, and I was like, I'm just going to pray to Jesus. And I was like, please save me, come into my heart. I want to go to heaven, and I want to follow you. And yeah, so I did. Obviously, I was young, so I had to go. You have to do this anyway. Go throughout my church, they talk to you through it and make sure you understand what you're believing. But yeah, and so that's when I was saved and then baptized. But I really didn't start following Jesus super seriously until middle school. Obviously I wasn't a bad kid, but a third grader is not gonna start reading Isaiah.
Yeah. Isaiah 41:10, go, third grader.
Yeah. So middle school was when I 7th grade I really started to understand I needed to start reading my Bible for myself. I prayed and stuff, but it was never super deep. And then so I started realizing that in 7th grade. And then 8th grade COVID hit for me. And my dad got COVID, and he was in the hospital for 3 days, almost died.
Oh, gosh.
Bunch of the stuff. And through that, when I was staying with my grandparents, quarantined, all that stuff, I was like, I need Jesus.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really just started reading my word and diving into it. I had a lot of support with that as well. Through just school, I was homeschooled, but co-op friends and church friends and family and all that. And yeah, so that's when I really started taking my faith seriously, and it's just been a steady growth from there. Obviously, I still mess up and everything, and I don't always read the word. I forget, or I'm too tired, but that's just the Christian life sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just kept trying to grow every day and keep in walk with the Lord.
Yeah. I didn't know you were homeschooled. Were you homeschooled
Yeah, my entire life. Yeah. So my dad's a chiropractor. So whenever he would have patients come in. It was actually the Ward children. And some other kids too. He was like, yeah, told my mom was a teacher. So he was like, yeah, I think we should homeschool our kids. And she was like, dude, you're crazy. We're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. And then they ended up doing it. And so I started out in kindergarten. I started out going to CC, Classical Conversations, in kindergarten. And I did that through 5th grade. And then we switched to another program that we started with some friends because there was just stuff with CC that was going on. And then in high school, I switched to a different program, which was taught at the Ward's house. theme in my life. And so I did that for like most of my high school, and then I also did dual credit at like the community college. So I was homeschooled my whole life, but I've always been around people and had co-ops in church and stuff. So
I never knew that. I never knew that about you. Oh my gosh. Well, what would you
good.
say? Was it kind of hard going from like being homeschooled to now like living on a college campus with all these students and being like in-person classes? Like, was that difficult at all?
I don't think it really was for me, honestly, because I kind of been living a college schedule since like 4th grade. Like, I'd go to class like 2 or 3 times a week, and then I'd do homework. And so I was like, ever since like 3rd grade, I've had my own planner, like, and making my schedule and everything. So that, like, the academics have been super easy. Now, like obviously, I mean, living away from your parents is like a transition for everybody, and then like, obviously all of that. But honestly, I felt pretty prepared because I would do things to like, you know, be around people. Like, I did like dual credit at the community college. I did like the co-op at people's houses and church and everything. So it honestly like wasn't as big of a transition as you might think, from the homeschool I came from.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think like what's your opinion on people being homeschooled? This is just like I'm so interested in this. Like, do you think it's for everyone or like
I
kinda what's your
definitely
take?
don't think it's for everybody. I think it's an amazing thing for people it works for. Like, obviously, some people, like, they need the socialization. They need to be taught by people that aren't their parents. But for people that it works for, I really think it's a beautiful thing. Like, to be able to, one, I had a Christian education, so I've always, like, I had a Christian biology, a Christian astronomy, a Christian, like, physical science and all that stuff. So I feel like, and it's really good for building the foundation. So honestly, sometimes like I definitely want to homeschool my kids, especially when they're younger, to kind of like build that so that they can like have their own faith should they like choose it, which I pray they do.
Yeah.
And then if they would want to start going to public school and like middle school, high school, then obviously like if that's what is a good fit for them, that's good fit for them. But I do think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I think one thing we were kind of chatting about before the podcast was leadership. And so you're kind of like stepping into a lot of these leadership roles. Leadership's kind of a big thing in campus ministry at Campbellsville. So what sort of, how did being homeschooled shape you as a leader, do you think?
I've never been asked that before. I think it really helped me, like, kind of figure out how I function. It's kind of like you're not, like, really forced into a system. So you really, like, learn, like, what makes you tick and, like, what you need as a person. And then that also can grow you as a leader. So it's like, I am great at, like, organizing, administration. Like, my number one spiritual gift is administration. And I'm a business management major. My second is apostleship. My minor is Christian missions. So I think I was just able to like learn that a lot and also be poured into by like Christian like influence. Like my parents have been great, and like obviously I'm very blessed in that not everyone has that. But I think just learning about yourself and like learning how you function like naturally, and then you can also obviously grow into that as like a person, because that's just how life is.
Yeah, totally. That's actually, so I have this book with me because I thought we might talk about leadership because that's what we were chatting about before the podcast. This is for a class. I had to take this quiz that accompanies this book. It's basically this guy, his name's Don Clifton. He's called the father of strengths psychology. So this book, shout out, Strengths Finder 2.0. You take a quiz and it tells you your top 5 strengths. So mine were connectedness, individualization, belief, being deliberative, and then ideation. But the book basically encourages you to do, if I can find it, I wrote it down somewhere. It basically tells you that you should know and you should own your own strengths, and you should get to know your team's strengths and weaknesses, and you should also communicate what your strengths are to them. But the big thing, my big takeaway from this book has been not seeing your like weaknesses as something you need to fix, because they're always going to be your weaknesses. So you should just play into your strengths, which I thought was like so interesting because I feel like a lot of the times we focus on our weaknesses and thinking that that's something we have to overcome, but that's kind of simply not true. It's just something we're not as good at. So if we focus on what we are good at, we can allow other people that are strong in our weaknesses to take those roles on. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, even in the Bible, it's like Jesus is like God is made like his power is made perfect in your weakness.
Yeah.
And I think that's just very powerful to like know that you have these shortcomings. You are human.
Yeah. No, and like another quote I wrote down from the book is, am I attempting a life where I try to overcome my weaknesses, or am I developing and applying my strengths? Because I think that's, like, lately, and we're going back to leadership, doing things with, like, campus ministry, sometimes, like, I can get, like, really, like, mad at myself, like, oh, I wish I was better at this or whatever, but we all just lead in different ways. Like, there's different styles of leadership. Like, the way you lead is going to be different from the way I lead. It's going to be different from the way Trent Creason leads. It's going to be different from the way Braylee Sturble leads. But I think instead of thinking we all have to lead in one way, we can appreciate different leadership styles.
And
I
like lead
guess.
together.
Yeah,
too.
like what would you say is your leadership style?
Honestly, that's been something I've been really like wrestling with for like probably since May, since I went on the Northern Ireland mission trip with Campus Ministries, and I was just like breaking down because I was like, I had an image of a leader in my head, and that wasn't happening for me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not a leader, and like I was literally about to fly from Northern Ireland to church camp and be a leader for like freshmen girls in high school, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, like, what is God doing in my life? And so I think I'm definitely more of a quiet leader. I'm not like a step up and preach person. I'm not a step up and speak person. Like, I mean, and then sometimes I'm like, I'm not really the person people come to and talk to about their problems. Like, even though like I would enjoy that too, but that's just not what's naturally been happening for me. I'm definitely a behind the scenes person.
Yeah.
Like through the administration spiritual gift. Definitely just like serving people, like even if it like isn't singing or if I'm even just by myself backstage, like
Yeah.
definitely just like making people's life easier.
Yeah. Like your leadership doesn't look like running out and like shouting big ideas at people. Like you're more like in the background making everything run smoothly, which is so true because every week when it comes to like planning campus men stuff, I'm like, hey Liberty, can you like make this graphic? Like, girl, you're on top of that Instagram. I don't know what we would be doing without you running PR. Yeah, so it's kind of cool to just analyze how people have different leadership styles and how like think about how they can develop that for themselves instead of thinking that they have to lead a certain way. 'Cause
Yeah.
everyone's going to be different.
Yeah.
But one thing we do on the podcast, it's called See You at the Table. So we kind of want to leave something, our table. We kind of want to leave the viewers or listeners with something to chew on. That's what Trent always says. So we asked for a table tip. So what's like a piece of advice, something that's been on your mind? Can really be anything. What would your table tip be?
So for me, like my word for like the past 2-3 weeks has been surrender. And that is so hard because I am a control freak.
Me too.
But it's really just a point of letting God be God and let his plan come through. And it's like you really got to be intentional about like where you put yourself because you need to know like where you're going, but you also need to know that God is leading that. So I'd just say like honestly, like it's such a thing, just like be in prayer about it. And that is so, it's like, it's not hard to be in prayer, but it's just so hard to let it go. Because, like, you think you surrender it, and then 2 hours later, you haven't surrendered it, and you're like, freak.
Real.
Like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I'd say just, like, really, like, look at yourself and, like, see what you need to surrender in your life, whether that is, like relationship status, whether that's your future, whether that's, like, maybe you just need to let something go that's hurt you in the past, like, and just truly surrender and be at the feet of Jesus and let him like carry your load.
Yeah.
So I just say like see what you need to surrender, because there's always something that you're holding on to a little too tight.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and that's hard for me too. It's also been a theme in my life lately is I just want to be in control. Like it's kind of hard, we don't physically see Jesus standing next to us, so it's kind of hard to surrender stuff to him and let him take control. If we don't like physically see him working, because we're humans, that's our brains. But this is also something we were talking about before the podcast. I like sprained my ankle on Monday, and like God's glory is gonna come out of everything. And I think me spraining my ankle, like, he's really like forcing me to like be out of control right now. I'm like having to depend on other people to like take me places, to help me out, and like that's so hard for me because I'm such a control freak, and I like to really be in control of my own life. But he's really making me like surrender to people and trust people more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something my friend and I literally talked about this morning. Is before I like injured myself, we had a conversation where I told her I don't like trust people very well, and I have a hard time like letting people like prove to me that like I trust them or that they're trustworthy. And so this has really shown me that I can trust people, and I do have good friends.
Yeah.
But, well, thank you, Liberty, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Campus Ministry at Campbellsville University, where faith, testimony, and dialogue come together. Stay connected, stay inspired, and we'll see you at the table next time.